Hello everyone. I'm going to talk about SIwave and Icepak when it comes to thermal analysis of PCB board. So in today's presentation, I'm going to use this PCB board as you can see here and show you how we can read different temperature at different point of the PCB and do the DCIR analysis where the current might increase the temperature and that temperature increase or change or decrease the behavior of your copper or any other traces, and then that also change the effect of current. So briefly about the Icepak and its feature. Icepak is a great software that you can use to do the thermal analysis. The great thing about Ansys is that it can be coupled with Maxwell, with Q3D, HFS S3D layout, and HFSS and SIwave that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm not going to cover any of these today, but the SIwave, however, I wanted to mention this so you become aware of the coupling between the software if you don't know about it yet. I'll very quickly talk about a couple of them here, and then I'll go to the software in a second. So one of the example is HFSS 3D layout, and you can use the DCIR solver that is available in electronic desktop. As you can see on the right hand side, you can calculate the power density, the voltage profile, and then eventually the temperature profile of your PCB board. And you can connect it to the Icepak, either couple it or export the file from HFSS 3D layout and then import it to Icepak. That applies to other software as well. This is one of the results when you can analyze both AC and DC losses, and you can analyze the electrothermal workflow with HFSS 3D layout. So let me go back to the software here and look at the PCB board that I showed you at the beginning. As you can see, this is a PCB that we have here. It has a few components and different layers. Let me, as you can see, these are all the layers that we can see here. Zoom out just to give you a sense of these are different views. I'm just rotating these to different, as you can see, component and port here, just to give you a sense of how complicated the PCB is here. So we'll go back to view and look at it from top view and zoom out. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to do is that we need to check for the PCB board and verify or sanitize it. There is a wizard flow that we can use. So we go to stack pad at the beginning. I already changed or modified whatever was needed, but you should check the thickness, type, and conductivity, and you can change the different parameters here. And once you check it and you make sure everything is fine, you hit OK. So you'll see it'll be a green check mark here in a second. So we will go through the same process for verify pad stack, circuit element parameter, and at the end we sanitize light. As you can see, the check mark appears. So that means we check that. Here we look at different pad stack that we have, and we can change let me choose one of them that is more appropriate. You can change the ratio. As you can see, it is changing here. So for now, we choose the absolute value if you already set that. And then there are the parameters here. As you can see, we have the capacitor that we have. I'm just showing this so you have a sense of the PCB that we're working with. So we have inductors here, some resistor. We didn't define input as of now. And the voltage and current source are here, as you can see, which are for the chips that I'll show you in the uh, in this presentation in a second. And this is the voltage. Sorry, here I meant voltage probe, not voltage source. So this is fine too, and then we verified this is you can do it automatically when once you do the auto identify. I already did that, so it differentiates between something that is non-power and something that is power net. If there is a specific net that you are aware of, you can do that manually here and change them up and down. So that's the next step. And then you go to sanitize. This is if you want to sanitize it. I don't click on it. I already did that. Just wanted to show you it takes a while. So once you do that, then we need to go to the DCIR analysis. This is where the thermal analysis is started. So far we're trying to make sure everything is set up right for our base model. So once we do that, we can choose, for instance, some nets here. Let's choose these nets and these 3 nets. We can hide the RLC, or if we can show them. For now, it's better to hide it just for being more convenient. And then make sure you have your current source and voltage source here. If there is no current and voltage source, it doesn't make sense to do the DCIR. So we need to find why it's not there, and then add them manually if needed. So as you can see here, this is the current source which goes to this reference, as well as the voltage, this current source that goes to U2A5, which is one of the chips. So as you know, we have voltage source and current source in PCBs. So once we choose that, you can save the configuration if you need to. You can also load it if you have predefined. So you can like save this and load it next time that you want to run your analysis. Then we hit configuring the simulation. And we see the check mark here. Next, we need to validate. This validation, we can do it before or after, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever you feel more comfortable. When I say before, I mean you go to the home and there is a validate button there. So make sure you choose the right number of cores, and you can choose what you want to check here. You can, for instance, select DC short error or the VIs if you like to, but I recommend to put a check mark next to all of them. And once you click OK, as you can see, the progress starts. Some of the errors you need to change them manually, but some of them there are auto fix. So if the software is able to auto fix them, it'll do that for you, which is very convenient. I always try to go through those auto fix and make sure it makes sense what the software is doing. It's very reliable, but it's always good to check that out. As you can see, everything is fine here. If it wasn't, it would say, like, for instance, 3 error, and you can select autofix and autofix it, or you can say out of those 3, 2 of them were autofix and 1 is left, or 3 out of 3 is autofixed. So once we do that here, we hit the simulation button, and here is you can uncheck or check this box. It's good to check it because it gives you some file that you can export to Icepak, and then you can also import the temperature map from Icepak if you need to. If not, you can just set a uniform design temperature, and you can put different temperature here, 20, 30, or whatever you prefer. Usually we put 20 or 25 Celsius here. So we go and launch this. I'm going to pause this here and come back after the simulation is done. So the simulation is done here, as you can see, and this is the DCIR result. We can plot the current and voltage here. So you can have power, as you can see. Let me hide everything here. You can look at the power, which is watt per cube at different layers. You can choose, for instance, the power layer and shows the power here. You can choose the voltage and look at the voltage, or J, which is the, as you can see, there are arrows here that shows you where the current is going. If they're like current source, you can see it there. The current going to them in one layer and getting out of them in another layer, or you can look at the current when you click on IV, and for instance, close it. So once you do that, I just wanted to show you how this works. So you can plot the Icepak power map. You can also export the Icepak power map if you want to use it in Icepak. That's one way of doing it. However, at this point, we are not going to do that. We're going, as you can see, we're going to click on Icepak here. So here is where we start simulating for the thermal analysis. So we should choose the setup name and then choose DC simulation result. As you can see, this name should be same as the name over here. There is a drop-down menu, so if there are a few of them, make sure you chose the right one. Then you choose the DC power convergence. You want to do it at 1%, 0.5%, 0.1%, whatever you want to do that, so that makes a different iteration. So what happens here is that the DCIR simulation gives the power output. Based on that, Icepak does the thermal analysis. And once that is done, the result is imported again to the PCB. And that, as you know, for instance, for the copper, it changed the behavior of the copper because the temperature has changed. So then the DCIR runs the simulation again, and then it makes the new power map. Icepak uses that power map again and run the simulation and to generate the new temperature map. So that temperature map again goes back to the PCB, and that is a loop that goes over and over and over till the convergence is below this point. So that is up to you what you want to choose. You can always choose this one at the middle, and then the thermal environment, we go with the natural convection here. These are the gravity vector. We chose only y direction because in this simulation, it is going to be on a table. We assume the PCB is sitting on a table. If you have angle on your PCB, you should choose different axes to and fill them up properly. Also, you can forget about the natural convection, and if you have a fan, you can use the forced convection and put the speed of your fan and the temperature of the fan. Also, you can choose the direction of the fan going through your PCB. Here, you can choose heatsink. So in this simulation, we use heatsink for one of them, and some of them, the heatsink, as you can see, is not available. So for those, you can exclude them. And here is just the padding. If you have a box around it, how much the padding you want to be on the horizontal or vertical. So I chose 25, 100, and 50%. So once again, we go back to the setup, make sure everything is fine, we set up as we want, and then we click launch. This will take a while, so I'll stop again here and come back to you after the simulation is done. Okay, so I ran the simulation and here we see the result. As you can see, there are 3 iteration for DCIR and 2 iteration for Icepak, meaning that the iteration was done and then the result went to Icepak and then Icepak ran the simulation, but it wasn't close to the threshold that we set, the 0.4%. So it ran it again. So it'll keep running it till it satisfied that condition. As you can see here, there was 2 iteration. So let me show you how it looks like. So you can right click and say display temperature. As you can see, these are the temperature. When I go to the next one, there would be a very slight difference. Please take a look at this border or this border here. They move a little bit to the left. So it just happened. I don't know if you noticed, but let me try it again. Now, if I put it back, it'll shift a little bit to the right. Look at here. It shifts to the right. Yes. So this is the way we do the thermal analysis in SIwave. And as you can see, you can move your mouse around and it shows you the temperature at different location. And as you can see here, this is very hot. It's about 124. So when we add the cooling and the fan, this can change. So just one more time to show you the analysis, we go to DCIR and then run it. And then once this is done, we go to Icepak and change the threshold here. And we also choose if you want to have a fan driven flow. If you use the fan, the temperature here will decrease significantly.